Hello. Oh my god. It's gonna be one of those days. Hello, welcome, it's May. It's so lovely to see you. And today I have an epic video for you. It is going to be a fully comprehensive boat buyer's guide to help you decide on what boat to buy. It's really going to be everything you need to know. You don't need to go anywhere else but here, truly. So, I am also going to disclose the most important, I cannot stress enough, the most important thing that you need to do when buying a boat. But I'm not going to tell you till right to the end because I'm annoying like that and I want you to watch the whole video. Hee hee. Before we get into it, I want to show you something. Come with me. We are walking through... Oh, where are we going? Oh, where are we going? Oh, look! It's my yoga studio! Woohoo! Whoever said you can't film yoga classes on a narrowboat hasn't seen Tiny Home Yoga. This is yoga for everybody in every space. Whether you are a man, a woman, older or younger, if you battle with stress, anxiety, fatigue and issues with mobility, then this is the place for you on my narrowboat. Isn't it about time that you start taking care of yourself? The NHS is collapsing. Trust me, I used to be a mental health practitioner working there, and it's never been more important to be healthy for the long term. Regular classes will keep you active, build mental and physical resilience, and put a big smile on your face. If you want to know more, you can book a class or email me at tinyhomeyoga@gmail.com. Okay, let's get on with the boat buyer's guide. I'm really conscious that this is a super information heavy video, so I've created a lovely little PDF, if I don't say so myself, that will help you see it all in written form. So all I ask in return is that you sign up to my mailing list, please and thank you, and you can download it, link below. Let's start from the beginning. Where do you find boats from? I found this boat on Facebook Marketplace. Crazy, but yes, I did. And you can also use a website, a trusted website that I spent many an hour on, apolloduck.co.uk. And also, of course, there are brokers. So the benefit of that is that you feel more secure and safe with your money when you put deposits down. And there's a kind of an exchange there that feels more professional. What I did with this boat when I got it from some random couple who I didn't know that I was going to be handing over a load of money to, I drew up a contract, and literally I found a contract on the internet and I sort of like changed it around a little bit and I got them to sign it, and then I handed over the deposit and it all went really well. So that contract, whilst it's just a piece of paper with some words on it, it would hold up in a small court if something went really sour. So yeah, something to think about. And also, if you are wanting to rent a boat, buy it off a renter. If you want to live aboard a boat, buy it off a liveaboard. If you want to sit in a marina and have your boat there, then buy it from a marina. It makes things smoother in terms of just that transition because the previous owner can show you everything that you need to know, specifically tailored for your needs and wants. Another really important thing is how are you going to afford it? How are you going to get the money? Where can you get your money from? So my story was that before everything went bonkers with the world and the cost crisis and whatnot, I got a loan from my bank. If you are some kind of financial wizard and you know that things are going to get better, maybe hold out before you get your boat. If you're going to be borrowing money, try your bank. That's a good place to start. Let's talk about the beating heart of your boat. The beautiful, incredible piece of machinery that will help you get from A to B so you can cruise off into the sunset. Will help you charge all of your batteries so that you can watch Netflix every day, all day. Engines. They are incredible things. I'm learning so much about them. They are so simple, yet so complicated all at the same time. For me anyway. Ultimately, when you get yourself an engine, in the boat, you want to be looking at the service history. You want to be talking to the seller all about how much does it cost to repair it, how far do you get on a diesel tank. You want to know the age of it. You also want to be checking the inside of the engine bay. Is there oil everywhere? That could show signs of a leak. Is there water in the engine bay? That's quite normal, but you don't want too much water. So check the stern greaser, make sure that things are looking good and healthy. Maybe you know a mechanic friend, always worth having someone to come and check it over and have a look at it. But ultimately you want to run that engine to make sure it doesn't get too hot. You want to be checking the dipstick. You want to make sure that it's not freshly painted, because that could show signs that they're covering something up. Is it easy to start from cold, especially if you're buying a boat in winter, bearing in mind it will take more energy for that engine to start in cold compared to summer. So that's a question that you can ask your seller. Is there lots of smoke coming out of the exhaust? Black is really bad, but it should be about white or clear. I think that's about it on engines. Check the PDF again. There's probably some things on there that I haven't mentioned here. Batteries. Basically, as a boater, you live off your batteries. All of your electricity comes from those. So it's really important to have decent batteries. You want a decent starter battery, check the age again of that, and you want at least 3 leisure batteries. Completely depends on your solar setup and how much energy you want in your boat. Basically, the more solar you have, the more batteries you have, the more energy you have. Pretty simple, really. How has the previous owner taken care of the batteries? If they are filled with distilled water, then check, open up the batteries, have a look. Is it full in there? If it's full, it means the owner is looking after those batteries, which is good. You want a decent inverter, which is this huge piece of kit that inverts electrical current into higher electrical current, which means that you can then run all of your appliances off of it. So yeah, you definitely want an inverter, especially if you're a liveaboard. The question to ask the seller is, how long do you run all of your appliances before you charge your batteries? That will give a good indication of the quality of your batteries. I can go for quite a long time. I think I can go for about 7 days, and then my batteries dip below 80%, and that's when I charge, but I never get to that point. I charge about every 3 to 4 days. If you have a voltometer, take it with you, test the batteries and see what volts they are at. They should be around 12.6 volts, I think. Solar panels, the more the merrier. I have 4 on top. They're all about 300 watts, I believe, and honestly it's the best thing ever. In summer I never charge my batteries through the diesel engine. I just use solar and it saves me so much money. So do that. Another thing to ask the seller is storage capacity. How much water does the boat hold? How much diesel does the boat hold? This is information that is actually really useful. I don't know the answer to those questions. You want to be asking questions about the stove, whether it's multi-fuel, how long it takes to heat up. You want to be asking about the condition of it and when it was last serviced. In terms of maintenance for a hot water system, you just want to know how it's been looked after and when it was last looked at by a professional. For things like leaks, check for leaks. That's the main thing you want to be looking at there. Check for mould, specifically inside the cupboards. Boats will be mouldy, especially if they're older boats. That is just the way of living in a boat. You just want to know how much mould there is and look for recent fresh paint jobs and query that if it seems a bit off. So toilets, there are 2 typical ways of getting rid of your waste. First is cassette toilets, where you poop and pee into a cassette and then you empty those cassettes out. It takes about 2 to 3 days for one person to fill up a cassette, unless you're a man and you can pee outside. The second option is a pump out. Pump outs are big tanks underneath your boat, fills with waste, and then you go to a marina or a chandlery or somewhere on your journey. You have to pay then to get that pumped out and put into their waste disposal area. So prices, I don't know, because I don't have a pump out toilet. And then of course there are compost toilets, which are quite controversial things, because getting rid of your waste appropriately and properly and responsibly is really important. So thinking about how you would do that if you went for the compost toilet option is really important. Let's talk about size for a minute. The bigger the better, in my opinion. No, seriously, I do think that, because storage and moving around, having people over, is great when there's more space. My boat genuinely feels like a small flat. It's 62 feet long. Just for me, is so much room. I love it. I can do my yoga, I can move around, I can dance in here. However, the downside of a big boat is that it can be harder to maneuver. So I often have real issues and struggle a lot with moving the boat in bad weather. You shouldn't really move the boat in bad weather anyway, but because of the size of this thing and it's just me, it's really challenging. I think a 59 foot, 58 foot is just the perfect size. If you're going smaller, then be prepared. You are going to have to get rid of a lot of stuff and adopt the one in, one out rule. If I want a new pillow, then I say goodbye to this one. I'd never say goodbye to you, Sue. I love you. Ultimately, it comes down to what you feel like you can handle. If you can handle a big boat, then go for it. Is the boat balanced? Does it list? Listing is when the boat kind of goes over to one side. This is generally okay because boats do that as long as it's not too much. And to stop that from listing, you just get some weights on the other side in the engine room to balance it out, which is what I do. Onboard equipment. Does the boat have everything that you need for it to move along the canal network? Does it have a lock key? Does it have ropes? Does it have a centre line? Really important, especially if you're single-handed. You will use your centre line a lot. Again, they're like the main things. You want mooring pins as well. Forgot to say that. Windows. Check the windows. Oh my god, I've had a nightmare with mine. So I didn't check the windows when I bought the boat. When I look at them now, there is quite a lot of moisture build-up in the corners. Get yourself a hose pipe or a bucket and just like pour it over the windows and just check for leaks. Please ask the seller before you do that. Yeah. And then you've got the documents that you need to hand over the boat. So you want to see service history again on the engine and any work that's been done on the boat. You just want to have paperwork for that. I think it's really important. Ask the previous seller about the insurance policy, who they use, how much it is. Alright, let's move on to some questions that I've recently received about boat buying. Depreciation, interesting question. Someone asked me, like, how long does it take for a boat to depreciate? Ultimately, that's kind of up to how much you look after it. I think my boat is about 40 years old. I have no idea how long it's going to last. I hope for a long time because this is my home and I love it. What you do is you get the boat out the water every 2 years, make sure that she's well looked after, work with a marine engineer that you really trust to give a thorough examination of the boat so that you feel confident that your boat's going to be fine. Nick asked me about converting to electric. I think it's something to consider with the future as it's looking at the moment, with coal and diesel will eventually run out / get really expensive. So going electric is a smart thing to do. Converting to an electric, really out of my remit there, but I'm guessing it can be done. Lots and lots of solar panels on the roof. I mean, I've seen electric boats, they're amazing. The average price of a narrowboat now, I read recently, is around about £57,000. Whew. I read also that the prices have increased by about 880%. I've also got some really great notes from a Facebook group that I follow called Boat Women, and in that group I asked all the women there, is there anything that you would suggest to anyone who's buying their first boat? What would you say? And I'm just going to read out a few pieces of advice from my lovely boaty ladies out there. Georgia says, do the work on the boat first before you move in on it. So if your boat needs refitting and redoing, don't live on it while you're doing it. Great advice. Mariette wishes that she had more space at the bow and the stern, mainly because she has a dog and the cruiser stern would be a lot bigger and a lot better for her dog to be alongside her when she's cruising. She also says to pay attention to the gunnels. The gunnels are the small little walkway alongside the boat. Does it have anti-slip paint on it already? How big are they? The bigger, the more secure you'll feel. I have tiny ones actually. I go tiptoe on them. Tracy Lee says all you need is YouTube and positivity. Woo! Marie says 70 foot is better. Forget about all the places that you can't go because your boat is too big. It's worth having a bigger boat for the space. So places that you can't go if you have a 70-foot boat are the Leeds and Liverpool main line, the York line, and a little bit in between Leeds and Wakefield. That's it. Marie also says to get a diesel stove because it's much cleaner and much easier. But is it affordable? Is it cheaper? Joyce says just go for a boat that feels right. Decent handrails. You need them for walking alongside the boat, so check those out. And finally, Jill says, just do it, do it, do it, do it. It's time. Let me reveal where... Let me start again. It's time. Let me reveal the most important thing when you're buying your boat. What you need to do is, drum roll please, get a survey. You probably knew that already, but I can't stress enough how important it really, really is. Really, the most important thing you want to know is the thickness of your steel, because that means the thicker the steel, the longer your boat is going to last. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that the thicker the steel, the better in all cases, because these days, narrow boats are built with steel that's not as good quality as the older days. With that in mind, when buying an older boat, you will have thinner steel. When buying a newer boat, you will likely have thicker steel. The three perfect numbers that you, in the most perfect world, will perfectly have is the following. 10 millimeters of thickness in the hull, right at the bottom. 6 millimeters above the water, and 4 millimeters in the cabin area. My boat was likely to have been built originally with not as thick steel as 10 millimeters on the bottom. Currently her readings in the last survey were 6 on the bottom, 5 on the sides above the water, and 4 on the tops. When the marine engineer has surveyed your boat, you'll get a comprehensive survey full of information about the engine, about the hull thickness, about what's going on internally, about things that need looking at, recommendations. It will just cover everything, and you'll be able to look at that survey and go, right, that needs work, that needs work, that needs work. That will help you understand how much it's going to cost for these pieces of work to get done. You can then bargain with the seller. The seller might have done a survey for you already to increase the price of the boat, and then have done all the work on it for you as well. So that's another way it could have gone. So just ask these questions. If you are going to be doing a survey for a boat for yourself, then the costs that you're looking at are roughly about £500 for a survey. That usually includes the exterior and the interior. And then you have to also pay for the dry docking fees, so they could be about £200 to £300 for the surveyor to do that work in a dry dock. So you're looking at around about £800 for a survey. It may be more depending on your location in the UK. So let me just stress, when you're looking at your survey, whether it's a survey that you've got yourself for a boat that you really love, or it's a previous survey from the seller, look for things like corrosion and pitting in that survey. Those are the keywords there that you want to make sure that you've got your eye on, because if there's any corrosion, there's any pitting, then that could have caused some real serious problems in the future and the present, and you want to get that sorted ASAP. If you want even more specific details, then I really do recommend downloading the Boat Buyer's Guide that I have made for you, because there's just some things that I've probably missed off here that I've covered in the guide. The really important stuff, like a checklist basically. So don't forget that that link is just below in the bio. You can click on that and go through the process to get your free PDF. You're welcome. I have been absolutely overwhelmed with the generosity of my lovely, lovely followers. Oh my god, I've had a really tough winter so far, and I have been gifted so many coffees. It's just, I'm gonna have a heart attack, guys. Thank you so much for your generous donations. I'm blown away by all of you. Thank you. Words, there are no words for my gratitude. Thank you. A massive, huge, big up, thank you and smoosh to Tracy Mack, James Hill, Carl Miller, David, Tomo, Terence, Ian from Joys of Life Afloat, Craig, Joanne, yours man dude, Michael, Kevin, Guy, Joe, Diane, Phil, Mark, John and Becky, Robert, Harold, Eleanor, Chris, Seb, AJ, Wayne again, Joe, Jeff, G. Lloyd, Hughes, Simon. Wow, you are all, yeah, thank you. That's it for another week. I hope you found this boat guide really useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. Please leave a comment. I love reading your comments. I love replying to your comments. It feels like we're all in this together. So I'll see you next week. Looking forward to it. Bye.